welcome everybody. This is KBM, your host of This is Africa. Today's date is November 21, 2021. And today we have a special guest all the way from Kenya, Kevin, who was my personal driver who picked me up from the Nairobi terminus when I came back from the Mombasa terminus back in July of 2021. How you doing? How you doing today, Kevin?
I am fine. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I thank you for coming in and doing this interview. Um, Kevin, you were recommended by a friend of mine who's also a friend of yours. You do a lot of business with. And I have to say, I'm going to start out with this, everybody, is that Kevin here is very attentive to working with you as a customer. But what I have to ask you, Kevin, do you consider yourself a taxi service, a personal driver? Please explain to us what type of business you're in.
Yeah, apart from doing taxi business, it is more than that because it is more personalized because it begins just like a taxi but ends up like a relationship. So apart from picking you and dropping you where you want to go, it is a personal relationship. I try to make it much better because not just it's not just about the money, but it's a relationship. So it is more personalized. I can say.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this?
Since 2006, so 15 years, and I can say I have perfected this. So yeah, it's in me, and
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you picked me up, remember that I was to be taken first to an Airbnb to drop off my gear. And then you were taking me to Nairobi West Hospital so I can go ahead and get the testing and before I could take my flight the next day. Now, if you remember, I had issues with actually getting in contact with the Airbnb that was supposed to host me. How often do you run into that as far as like hosts who offer Airbnb? How often do you have to sit there and like help them try to get in contact with the host at the Airbnb for your client?
This happens several times. Okay, not always, because I have gotten into contact into several people who are doing the Airbnb accommodation in Nairobi. And what I do with them is to do, we have made an arrangement whereby whenever they have a guest arriving, whether it's at the airport or at the railway station, then they just give me information about it, and I'll be there in good time, waiting to pick and receive the guest to take them directly to where they are going for the accommodation. But yes, several times it happens whereby uh, the guest arrives, they have an address, but they can't reach the owner of the apartment. And this means either you have to hang around there or miss on the accommodation, start looking for other accommodation. So that really happened several times. And that's where I come in. And I have several people that I work with that we have that arrangement. They just need to get me the contact, the details of the guest arriving, and I arrange for the transfer, whether it is late at night or maybe early morning or whatever time of day and night. I do that, and that's because one of the reasons that I do this very well is there are many people who are doing other businesses and also at the same time own the accommodations for the Airbnb. This means they might be busy doing something else, and the guest has already arrived. That and with me there at the airport or whichever the pickup point, then it becomes very easy. I come in handy. I will pick them, drop them. I know where the keys are, and maybe I have details of the Wi-Fi and all other amenities or any other requirements the guest might need. So yes, I've been doing this and perfectly well.
Okay, great. Now, let me ask you about what is the time frame that if a customer contacts you ahead of time to meet with you, either at the airport, the terminus, or somewhere else, what do you recommend as far as time frame on when they should contact you in advance?
Yeah, at least a 24-hour window for a quick transfer is good enough because I'm based in Nairobi. If it is someone arriving in Nairobi, whether it's at the railway terminals, Nairobi railway terminals, or Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, or the Wilson Airport, or maybe any other means, it could be by bus. If they are arriving in Nairobi, at least a 24-hour time frame is good enough. I can make a good arrangement. I'm saying this because yes, you if you tell me in advance, then I'll make that good arrangement. You might also call within 12 hours, but for it to be smoother and better, it's good to give at least a time frame of at least 24 hours.
I see. Now, in the case that you're not available within that 24-hour time frame, do you have like a black book of other drivers that you can get the customer in contact with?
Yes, I have a good arrangement with several colleagues that I we work together with very well. Good connection. Service is equally good. And that means if I'm not available, I'll make a good arrangement. And I cannot work for everyone all the time. That means I could be busy with another guest, and someone else also needs me. I will not, uh, you know, I will not fail to serve them. What I do, I make a good arrangement, the same type of service, and also when it comes to cost, it's the same. It doesn't go up. It remains like what I would charge. And when we come to the part of the time frame, sometimes also it depends. If it is a workload that might require maybe more arrangements, it might require maybe bigger cars, it might require more arrangements, maybe prepayment, or it might require maybe some bookings here and there, then more time might be required. But I am available 24 hours. Any inquiry, any any inquiry will be responded to in good time.
Okay, I'm going to leave your contact detail information down in the description box. So if anybody wants to contact you directly from this live stream, they can go ahead and go there and get in contact with you. Now, talking about the other vehicles and making arrangements, probably more than 24 hours. Now, me and you had spoken, and I brought up the fact that maybe you'll get a small film crew. Now, obviously, the vehicle that you picked me up in for a small film crew, I mean, if everybody was just carrying GoPros, that would probably work. But if they have a lot of gear, you're telling me about you can make an arrangement for a bigger vehicle to go ahead and cater to a team of a film crew or maybe just a small family that might have a lot of gear doing something else. What is your time frame to change out the vehicle? What do you need from the customer?
Yeah, several times I get more than sometimes more than three passengers with more bags or more equipment. Uh, at least 48 hours would be good. Uh, an example, if you're talking of the film crew that might require maybe a bigger car for more time, maybe a week or so, I would recommend at least 48 hours is good enough. And this is possible because we, apart from the small car that I use most of the time for fewer passengers, I can make a good arrangement for 4 or 5 seater with equipment. If it is more, there's still a vehicle we call a van which can carry up to 9 passengers, but maybe a bit less if they have more luggage. So yes, that's an arrangement that can I can easily do within 48 hours.
So speaking of the van, depending on the type of gear that the client might have, do any of these vans have racks on the top so you can go ahead and secure gear at the on the top of the vehicle?
Okay, not all of the vans have the rack.
Hmm.
Most of the vans in Nairobi or here you'll find they have the the open roof. I mean the roof that it is you're able to open when you go to the national park. So they multi serve. They can do trips within the city, and whenever they go to the national park, then you push the roof up and you're able to view or take photos. When you talk about the film crew, we've done that, especially at the national park, where some photographers require that roof where they can stand, in the car, while in the car and take photos on several positions. So yeah, it's still possible, but most of these vans, it's possible to be able to put equipment. It's possible to put equipment. There's a section where you can put equipment, whether it's uh, there's a yeah at the boot, or another vehicle which we call a Noah. That Noah, the seats at the back are foldable, and they create more space and leave space for at least 4 passengers.
Okay, for those that are listening, when he mentioned the boot for the Americans and maybe some Canadians, the boot is the same as the trunk of the car. So most of the world calls it a boot. In America, they call it a trunk. So, so that's what he's talking
Yeah.
about. Now, just in the rare case, I just kind of want to emphasize a little bit on this. If somebody did need a rack on the top because they needed that gear, I mean, we're not. Let's say we're not talking photographers. So you said some vans will have that. So obviously you can get that. Now, when getting that type of vehicle, and we know that Kenya has like a couple rainy seasons. Do you have tarps to protect the equipment when it's strapped down on the top of the vehicle from the rain?
Yes, yes, we do, and the most of the vehicles that have the rack on top are a type of vehicle we call a Rosa. A Rosa can carry up to 20 plus passengers, and most of their bags or equipment will be put on top. What happens if they put the bags and equipment on top of the rack? Then there is a something to cover that in case of rain or in case of any type of weather. There is a way to cover that on top and safely.
What I'd like to get into next is like where in the country have you been, or maybe I should ask, where in the country have you not been, especially if a customer wants to request a certain location? Are you willing to go to any part of the country? Are there zones where you would not go at all because of certain situations?
Yeah, Kenya is big and has so much to see. I'm lucky to have traveled to most parts of Kenya, but also have not been to Samburu National Park. It's in the northern part of Kenya. I've not also been to Savo National Park, and I have not climbed Mount Kenya. So these are places that I would really love to visit. And what happens is, whenever and I've been to many parks here, and some of them even for the first time. So yes, the northern part has been a challenge, mostly because of the roads. There are several parts of the north where roads have not been good, and also security has been a challenge. But luckily, a lot has been done by the current government, and many roads, new roads that can be people can drive easily and safely have been done. Unfortunately, several parts of the north, Moyale, Garissa, has been a challenge with security. Uh, this is because these are sections that are bordering, like Somalia, which unfortunately has not been, has experienced several cases of insecurity and something to do with terrorists. But that is mostly the part of Somalia. This sometimes gets to the border, but most part of the south and the central and even the north, like the Samburu National Park, they are all okay. These are places that I would love to visit, but I've not done it.
So, Kevin, tell us some of the locations in Kenya that a lot of clients like to go to, and where would you recommend clients to go to if it's their first time coming to Kenya?
Having been in Nairobi for long, most of the clients, those who are visiting maybe for a short trip, it's very easy to do Nairobi National Park. This is because it is based right in the capital, and from the airport or the railway station, this would take about 20 to 30 minutes to get to the Nairobi National Park gate. And at this national park, there are wild animals ranging from the lions to the cheetah, leopard, the big five, yes, buffaloes. Only the elephant is not found here. And it is a rhino sanctuary, so there are many rhinos, and this is a big attraction to many uh, clients who visit Nairobi. And the good thing about it is it can be planned within a short time, and also doesn't take so long. Between 4 to 6 hours, one should have seen most of what they might see, even going to other bigger parks which are far. Only the elephant that you won't find at the Nairobi National Park. Apart from that, many guests want to go to see the elephants over orphanage. This is the David Sheldrick Elephant Orphanage. These are This is a place where elephants, baby elephants that have been orphaned due to different reasons. I'll give an example: reasons like poaching, when their mothers have been killed through poaching or even natural causes. Then some of them are left behind, and the David Sheldrick's Elephant Orphanage, they take them and take care of them for about 2 to 3 years or more before they are taken back to the wild, the Savo National Park. This is a good place for many to take photos or interact with baby elephants, because yeah, this is the only place you can find elephants in Nairobi. Apart from that, there is a giraffe center. Giraffe center is a special place where you can get very close to a giraffe, sometimes feed it, take photos with it. Uh, this is a place where the endangered Rothschild giraffe is found. It is a breeding place for the Rothschild giraffe, which is endangered, and most people visit, and it is a visit that can, it's also easy. You can just plan and drive direct to the giraffe center. So apart from that is the Nairobi Animals Orphanage, or also the Nairobi Safari Walk. These are all based in Nairobi. There's a Nairobi National Museum and the Karen Blixen Museum. When you visit Nairobi, you're able to see all these within a day. Of course, there is the Bomas of Kenya. Bomas of Kenya, Boma is Swahili for homestead. So when you visit the homesteads of Kenya, you're able to see the cultural and traditional ways of how Kenyans used to live a long time, and even up to some of them up to now. You'll be able to see homesteads of over 40 tribes in Kenya. You see how they used to live, their houses, and also there's a time where they do cultural dances. So it is interesting to be able to learn more about Kenya. Apart from that, Masai Mara National Park is famous. It is home to the eighth wonder of the world. This is where there is the wildebeest. You find the wildebeest migration, migrating from Tanzania to Kenya and also from Kenya to Tanzania. Masai Mara National Park is a place where you find beauty of wildlife. The big five are all found here. Uh, the giraffe there is the Maasai giraffe. So this is one of the most famous national parks in Kenya. Of course, there are many other parks, the Amboseli National Park, where you find the gray elephants. This is a park where you're able to view Mount Kilimanjaro at its best. On a clear day, you're able, while seeing the wildlife, you're able to view Mount Kilimanjaro. So, yes, Mount Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania, but right at the border. And Amboseli National Park is one of the best points to be able to view that. Yes, there in Kenya, there is the Mount Kenya. Uh, it's not as easy to climb, but yes, it's a beautiful view of a mountain. It's a good mountain to be able to see. And also, if you're a hiker, yes, a bit of a challenge though, but it's also famous. So yes, Kenya is famous for its beautiful lakes, beautiful mountains, uh, the people, and also when you go to the coast, you find Mombasa. It's also a very famous place where most people, tourists, visit after doing the tours of wildlife and all that. Eventually, you're able to go and get some good rest and sunshine in Mombasa. Very good hotels there, and also the weather is a bit hot, but very nice place to go and relax. Yeah, Kenya, yes, is famous for all that and many more. The people are welcoming. There is good food to taste, and yes, everyone is welcome. And yeah, this is those are some of the places that many tourists do visit.
All right. Besides the popular locations for safari parks and going to the beach in Mombasa, what are some other things that may be non-traditional locations people like to go to for tourism?
There is a new thing coming up, and what I noticed is the slum tourism. Uh, Slum tourism, I've noted, is gaining popularity. people are coming just to go and see how people in the slums live, and also the setting in the slum. Yes, I've
Okay.
noticed it is, yeah, it is
I-
getting popularity.
Interesting that you brought that up because I don't remember the gentleman's name, but there was one particular Kenyan. I guess he was the pioneer of doing the slum tours. And basically, a lot of the residents were complaining about the tourists coming in, not patronizing them. Only he's taken them to like a couple different artists, one crafts person, and basically everybody else is being left out. People are also saying that they don't like the fact that people are coming in, taking photos of them, which I have to agree. I don't like that myself, to be honest with you, especially if you're not getting permission to do so. How has that been going? Because this is quite a few years ago that I read the article and watched the video on the gentleman that started it. Like, what is the reception now compared to back then?
Yeah, the reception is changing slowly and slowly. I remember maybe about 10 years ago when I got tourists who requested that I take them to one of the slums in Kibera slums. So what we did, I parked my car at a near police station. Then we had to walk together into the slum. What happens is I know that people don't like in the slums. They don't like to be their photos to be taken. First of all, without any permission. So what I do is I warn them in advance. We are going into the slum. People are friendly. They would not harm you if you do not if you're not any threat to them. A threat would be just taking photos without telling them, or they, those days, most of them were not happy. What is happening nowadays, I noted there are organized groups or individuals who have gone into like Airbnb, is it called Airbnb? Yeah, Airbnb experience.
Okay.
It's called Airbnb experience, whereby if you're dealing with slum tourism, you sell yourself. And what I did with one time with with a photographer, we met a professional photographer who is training young people in the slum. He's training them about photography, and in the process, inviting filmmakers to come. He uses his people in the process, either a filmmaker or a photographer. They'll use this person uses the young people that he's training. They will work together. He has organized security. He knows specific places which he is going to visit. So in advance, he has already informed them that I'll be coming here with photographers or filmmakers. And those places that they visit, they've already been informed. And in the process, it is organized, not interrupted, and anyone that will take any photos of is aware already. So there are no cases of any insecurity or anyone uncomfortable about their photos being taken. And all this is done at a fee. So yes, there are people who are organized and doing it very well without any problem nowadays.
Okay. Well, that sounds good because I've often wondered about that, especially with some of the vendors who are not being patronized and basically who wanted to get in on that with the people coming in. I see it as a great opportunity, but at the same time, I see it as oh no, in the beginning especially, I had strong feelings about it. I was offended by it, you know, and that it was a Kenyan that was actually pioneering this. But by what you're saying, I can see that happening. I can see it being more organized. I know people in the slums. Every time I've gone to the slums, they've been friendly, whether if it's Kabir or somewhere else. Yeah, they've been friendly. As long as you know somebody, everything should be good. Don't do things that you're not supposed to do. I think that's good advice anywhere you go around the world. But let's segue into something else now. When clients come in, what is your advice on what not to do? Because we have a lot of advice on what to do as clients vacation in Kenya or do business in Kenya. What is it that they need to be aware of that they should not do that won't get them in trouble, or excuse me, otherwise would get them in trouble with the law? What are some key things that you've noticed that people are getting in trouble for?
Yeah, at the moment, I think when we talk of the current situation, which is COVID, um, when you come to Kenya, it is a requirement at the moment to wear a mask and wearing a mask properly all the time whenever you go out in public. So that is one of the things that might find you in the wrong side of the law. But I'm sure with time things might change. But another thing is Nairobi is a non, especially the city center. You're not allowed to smoke in public. So what the government has done, or the Nairobi county government, they have set up places where people who smoke, they can go there and smoke without any trouble. So any tourist who lands into Nairobi and they find themselves in the city center, one of the things that can find you into trouble is smoking in public. So remember that there are smoking areas, there are smoking zones designated. Once you're there, you everything should be okay. Of course, there are several drugs that are not legal in Kenya, and I think marijuana is famous. I know it is legalized in some countries, but here in Kenya, marijuana is illegal. And I have noted several tourists who land here and they want to look for that, or they are looking for that kind. Uh, yes, it is illegal, and that can put you into a lot of trouble, many years in jail. Of course, there are other hard drugs that are internationally not allowed in many countries. Kenya is very strict on drugs. There is also things like prostitution in Kenya. It's not legal, and it is illegal in Kenya, and I would not encourage anyone coming to do that. First of all, it is not good, and unfortunately, what happens is, especially at the coastal part of Kenya, uh, young young girls or young people are have been pushed uh, to do that because maybe they're looking for money, they're unemployed, or they're forced to leave school and go into that business. So whoever is coming to Kenya, first of all, we would not welcome any sex tourism in our country. This is because it is really affecting many families. It is affecting young people, and unfortunately, it is it's not a good it's not a good thing for the country.
So let's segue into something else, and then we'll wrap this up here. So let me ask you, Kevin. Since you've been driving, you said what, for the last 15 years?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, how do you like doing this? I mean, is there something else you'd rather do, or is this something that's more of your passion? Or is this just something that you make a better living at than maybe some other job opportunities that you, or business opportunities that you can make for yourself? Just tell us, what is it like to be a driver? How do you like doing this?
First of all, this has made it is it has made me made a living. This is what I depend on to take care of my family. I have done this for long, and I like it because it has made me meet so many people from all over the world, and also here in Kenya. I have met Americans, people from you know Europe, China, India, and even other countries, you like Armenia and all that. And the good thing about it is, it creates another family. Some people that I met in 2006, we are still in communication right now. That shows you it's not just the business; it becomes like a relationship. And I like doing this. It has made me become a different person in a way. I have taught my guests many ways of living, and I have also learned a lot from people from many parts of the world. They come back again and again, and that shows that when someone that you've served before comes back, it means that they were happy. And the good thing about it is, they most of them are also referred. Someone who was here 10 years ago sends someone else that is visiting. So it is something that I do. COVID 19 somehow affected us in a way, but it's picking up. And I want to mention something about the transfers that I do. From the airport, apart from the normal transfers, a guest arriving, going to the Airbnb's accommodation or touristic attraction sites, I do specialized transfers. An example is, you find I have a guest who lives in Mombasa, and they have kids who are schooling in Nakuru. What happens, and this is a real example, instead of them having to drive the kids or flying with the kids, the unaccompanied minors, flying with the kids all the way to Nairobi, driving to Nakuru. Yeah, let me say again, we have specialized transfers whereby, I'll give an example. I have a client who lives in Mombasa, and they have kids going to school in Nakuru. These distance from Mombasa and Nakuru is it's a long distance, so it would mean either they use a train to Nairobi or a flight to Nairobi, then they're driven to Nakuru. For this, as a parent, having to accompany the minors every trip, whether they are going for midterm break or end term break, it would mean a lot of cost and also time. I have clients that have entrusted on me. They send their kids, they take their kids on a flight, they put their kids on a flight, they land in Nairobi as unaccompanied minors. I personally receive the kids, drive them to Nakuru to their school, and whenever they need to be picked again for a break, I will directly go pick them, take them, make sure that they get into the flight, and they just go directly to Mombasa. That's just one example. So I'm trying to say, if you have an unaccompanied minor who might you might need help with, I am there available at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Another quick example, uh, there you have an elderly person arriving, or maybe flying, and maybe you're busy, you're not around. I also do that. I will receive them at the airport. I will meet them, help them with every luggage or every movement, and make sure that I drop them safely to you wherever you want them to go. So even the cases of someone who is flying and they need help all the way at the airport, I also do that. So yes, this has made me get a lot of trust from many clients, which has made it easy for me because they always come back or will recommend other guests to me.
What are some of the celebrities or even government officials you've actually picked up and dropped off somewhere?
Um, yeah, that's yeah. I've done that with many. There are many. It could be managing directors. I used to drive one of the managing directors of the it's a cell phone company. Although they were working for in a different company in Sierra Leone, I mean in a different country in Sierra Leone. Whenever they arrived in Nairobi, I used to drive them all the time, even with their wife. I have dealt with many government officials here in Kenya. I don't know, yeah, names disappearing, but yes, we have dealt with many senior officials, celebrities. Um, there is a CEO that I carry. She's called Bidanya Barasa. She is a CEO, a managing director of it's a marketing company here in Kenya. Whenever they need to be driven to the airport or back, we have done that every time. Also, the CEO of the same company. And not just that, I remember in 2007, 2008, when Kenya got into some situation after elections, one of them, CEO, a multinational company, which is called Millward Brown, he arrived at the airport with his family. I took care of them from there. And in fact, his name is Tim Smile. He was the managing director of Millward Brown East Africa. From
Okay.
there, he gave me a job, yeah, and we worked with him for some time, among
Okay.
many.
Well,
Yes.
I can tell you, Kevin, you sure took care of me and my situation, and I really do appreciate it. And, you know, I'm letting everybody know that you go beyond what a lot of other people just don't do for their clients. And I really appreciate it. I also appreciate that you waited for me to get in and out of the Nairobi West Hospital for my testing. And you're able to take care of my Nigerian friend Mira from Mira's World YouTube channel. Appreciate that as well.
Sure.
She appreciates it. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, Kevin, for coming in. I don't know what to say other than thanks again for everything that you have done. And I recommend Kevin as your personal driver for anybody going in Nairobi. Just make sure you contact him in advance so that way he knows you're coming. And his information will be in the description box so you can contact him directly. And with that note, we're out.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.